You might think we're going to church this morning, but we're not. It's Wednesday morning, and we're standing at the Gaines Garage Marina with Dick Gaines, the smiling Rouses Pointer, and we're going to do a little story today on the Gaines establishment here, the long pier that goes out into the lake, and find out something about the family and how long this has been here, and tell you a little bit about boats that I don't even know at this point. So we'll talk to Dick Gaines. Who's Dick Gaines?
Well, we played basketball a good many years ago.
Yes, we did. Sure did. What is that? That had to be 30.
Oh, yeah, it's all of that or more.
40 years ago we played. Yeah, Dick was like George Barney. He was not a scorer, but boy, I'll tell you, if you wanted an assist man, this was the man that could do it and get those rebounds, and we had a lot of fun back in there. And we didn't have to win them all either, did we?
No.
We had a lot of fun.
Just as well.
Yeah, all right. Dixon.
Warren Dixon.
Warren Dixon, Al Ryan, the coach here, Ingalls. Ingley. And the others here, we played against the other towns, a great time. But tell us about Dick Gaines other than basketball. Right? You were from Rouses Poiint?
Yeah, I was born and brought up in Rouses Poiint. I lived here all my life, went to school here. I left here in 1943. I was in the service, came out of the service. And I worked for Irish Laboratories, and I also worked in the railroad when I was in high school. And after that, I went down to General Electric, and then finally I left General Electric in 1952 and come up here. My father just put up the service station. He opened it up on January 12th, 1952, and I came up here on the 19th of January. I left my job at 8:30 in the morning in General Electric. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was up here greasing Charlie Wright's car. Well, that's how I get started and get up here.
Yeah, Charlie's moved what, to Florida, huh?
Charlie's in
I think
Florida
he's
now.
down in Vero Beach area, I think, where Al Ryan is.
Somewhere in that area, yeah.
And now, at that time, your dad had just a garage and service station? Was there a service station?
Just a service station.
Service station, and you did repairs too at that time?
Yeah, overhauled. A lot of truck work at the time.
How many
Transport was here at the time. We did a lot of repairs.
How many people did he have working for him?
Well, there was only the three of us. My father and we had one other mechanic and myself. 3 of us.
And how long did you? When did the marina start?
Well, the marina started in 1958.
With your dad?
No, my father died in 55.
I beg your pardon. And
yeah.
And then you took over.
Yeah, then I took over in 55, and we started the marina in 1958.
Okay, let's get the whole back there just a little bit, because I saw a picture inside of it says Gaines Marina, and it said 1928.
Well, my father was down where Sandy's Delicatessen
Let's go take a picture, look at that picture, then we'll talk about it in there.
Yeah, okay, that'll be fine.
Calvin is kind of surveying here as the trucks go down into your, you should call it a dock? What do you call that?
Well, we call it a pier.
A pier. Well, maybe that's the right name for it. First of all, I want to tell you people out there that I know very little about boats, and anybody out there that does is going to get a kick out of us here, kick out of me. But this whole program is going to be geared to those people who don't know much about boats, and I'll be asking some pretty basic questions that I imagine many children who know boats are going to be able to answer. But I'll be asking them so we'll all know something about the lake and about boats before we get finished this little tour. You're watching what's going on here with Bob Venn, and our focus today is the Gaines Marina service station on Lake Street. And right here, Dick's going to tell us about the A.E. Gaines Marina. 1928, a great year, the year I was born.
Well, he started in the garage and marina business in 1919. He was there in 1934. And this was taken from the top of the roof of the garage. My brother Alfred took this picture here. And as you can notice in the background, well, I don't know if you can see it in your camera or not, but there's no bridge, no car bridge across here. And this is the old Defender, the tug. They used to come in, and here's the railroad cars going down the Sportsman's Club pier, as is known as today. This dock was an L shape, which it still is. It's been raised and repaired. And these are some of the boats that used to come in back at that time.
Is A. Alfred?
Yeah,
he was Alfred Sr.?
Alfred E. Gaines Sr.
All right. And you say this was directly behind where Sandy's is now. Let's describe that a little better for people who don't know where Sandy's, West AZ. And
Sandy's is right down the end of Chapman Street.
Right across from the park.
Right across from the park.
And he had a service station there too?
He had a garage.
A garage?
Yeah, he had quite a few men working for him.
All right.
And he also had the marina in the back.
All right, let me ask you a question here. I'm going to pick on you now.
Yeah.
I called that a dock before, and you said the correct name when I asked you as a pier. You just called this a dock.
Well,
What's the difference?
Well, this here. I call this a dock, but it really isn't that big. It's just, I suppose you could also call it a pier. Also, it's going out in the water. I guess it's just the way you want to look at it.
Okay, so something real wide, or something you want to refer to bigger as a pier.
As a pier.
All right.
And this dock, it kind of went into a disarray at one time, but then it's been built back up again. But not as you see it here.
Well, did this have an inboard at that time? Do you know?
This boat here?
Yeah,
they're all inboards.
They're all inboards. Now, Dick, we're looking here. We don't know the time of the year, but there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 boats is all I see. Today, you can see 6 without turning your head as you look out in the lake. What's happened to boating over these years?
Well, a lot of these boats come out of, most of them I think come out of New York City, with some out of Montreal, but now boating has gotten so big, and there's so many people into boating that are interested in boating that, well, on the lake, I don't know how many thousand boats there are, really. I don't have a count on it. But here in Rouses Poiint, we have probably over 300 boats that are here, docked.
In Rouses Poiint?
Rouses Poiint.
I didn't realize you had that. How many do you have?
Well, I have about 110 or 12, plus I have 25 on the moorings. And I think Lighthouse has around 230, and then Barcombe must have about 40.
The Lighthouse has 230?
Yeah.
That's the one down
Yeah, that's the old railroad pier.
230. Are they as big as yours?
Oh, yes.
They are? I mean, as big a boats?
Oh, yes.
Are any of these boats belong to Canadians?
About 99%.
Is that correct, right?
I have 3 Americans here.
And how many of these boats can you store? What
Well,
percentage?
we can store about 90, 95 boats.
And you're usually full?
Yeah.
You-
Well,
you store that many?
last year we were, and this year we've added some new equipment. I think we'll be able to handle a few more.
All right. When do you start taking them out, and when is the last boat out of water? Give us an approximation.
Well, we try and have everything out by as close as we can until the 1st of November. It's starting to get so cold because they have to be winterized, and if they freeze, it crack the engine blocks.
Okay.
So they have to be drained and winterized, and we have to get them out of water.
And these people pay you by the foot, I'm not asking you how much, but is it by the boat, by the foot, by the...
They pay me by the foot.
By the foot, so that it will vary, but does that include width as well as their formula?
On inside storage, they usually take the square footage. But on outside storage, we just take the length.
What do you mean inside storage, outside storage?
Well, they have these barns that they can put...
I'm sorry, you're talking about putting them away.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when they're here in the summer.
Oh, in the summer. Oh, dockside.
I beg your
That's
pardon.
also footage.
That's footage. Does that include the width as well as because the width will vary depending on the length.
It'll vary, but it really doesn't make that much difference. It's the length that counts, the amount of dock they take
Okay,
on.
now the ones that are out in the water that aren't really at the dock themselves, do they pay you for that too?
Well,
Is that
those are mooring,
that's also
yeah.
mooring of that is yours?
That's what they call mooring.
What do? Do you do anything special, Dick, if you have a real tough windstorm coming in from the south? Is there anything you have to do?
We go out about at least 2 or 3 times a week and check the lines. But I mean, I'm not saying there isn't something.
But on a storm itself, let's not out there. Say right in your docks, on the pier itself. Do you have to do anything special when there's a big wind coming up or a storm coming up? Do you go out and do anything special?
Well, we just check the boats, make sure the lines are all right, and if they aren't and they aren't tied properly, we retie them.
Okay, and you sell. We'll be going down there, but you sell gas down there, oil,
Gas and diesel.
and this is also, I understand, is the international port of entry right here in Rouses Poiint, or just yours?
No, any dock like they can stop at Barcomb's or Lighthouse or my place for customs inspection. They will come down.
But they can't go beyond here, right? Before unless they stop, they can't go down to Shazy and say, "Here, we were going to stop down there." Correct?
No.
And I'm just asking general questions. I'm digging for questions here right now until we get Dick to tell us a little bit more about boating. What happened to boating? Why all of a sudden are boats so a big thing?
Well,
the past 10 years.
It's become quite a family affair. Most of these boats come in, their families are on it, and the lake has been discovered. A lot of people didn't even realize this lake was here. You talk with people that had been to Plattsburgh, and they never heard of Rouses Poiint, and they never knew this part of the lake was here. And we're close to the city, so it's easy. In 1 hour, they come out of Montreal, and they're right on their boats, an hour or less.
They can come down from Montreal to here directly by water, correct?
No, well, they can by water. You have to go up to, they leave from Montreal, they go to Sorel. And from Sorel, then they come into the Richelieu and come down here. It's about 85. I think it's around 135 miles from here to Montreal by water.
Okay, we'll take a break here. We'll go out and look at some boats now. We can see something a little bit more. I think you may have some customers out here. We'll be right back. Well, we're outside now, and we're going to let Dick, in the story of your station here and your pier, you started off by telling me that you came to work in 1952 with your dad. Your dad left us in 55. You took over the station.
That's right.
And at that time, did you have any boats here at all?
No, none.
All right. In the beginning, you started. Why did you decide to have a pier?
Well, originally, my father and I, there was a pier here at one time.
Of course, he had one before too.
Yeah,
right?
he was in the business before, but there was also a pier here at one time with a coaling dock, and it runs right back to when I first started. That's what I raised, was the old coaling dock. When I first started in 1958, we had a crib.
Just a minute,
a crib maybe out where that crane is.
The crane, there was a crib.
It was a crib out there in 58. Then 59, I built another crib next to it.
What's a crib? Is that a square thing enclosed by water with stones in the middle?
Stones in it, that's right.
And what is that used for? Tie a boat to?
Well, yeah, I had 2 gasoline pumps on it.
And
then I had a catwalk going out to it. It was on steel pipes. And then in the fall of the year, we'd take the catwalk down.
Okay, so you had that out there, right? And the boats would come in and get gas,
Yeah.
but you didn't have any pier as such.
Not really. It had, there was 12 foot of cribbing, and there was a 12-foot space, and then 12 foot of cribbing. So it gave me a 36-foot frontage, we'll say. And I did have a couple that stayed. In fact, my first boater was from Saugerties.
Let me just interrupt you a minute. Calvin is looking over there where that sailboats are, right over straight ahead. Is that where your dad's dock was before?
Right over there, right where the sailboats are.
Where the sailboats are is
Yeah.
where your dad's dock was in 1928.
That's right, yeah. That's correct.
And his garage was just above there then,
The
right?
same place as where the apartment house is now.
Oh, okay. Later, that West service station was there?
Yes, and Vic West moved in.
Okay.
And,
All right, I beg your pardon. You were talking about a 35-foot...
well, we had the cribs were out there, and I could pull a boat up against it. And there was a fellow by the name of Dick Lizette from Saugerties. He came up with his family in a 25-footer, and he was my first overnighter. That's quite a while ago.
Yeah,
and then he came up for quite a few years.
And when do you know, about when was that? Early 60s? Or?
No, and this was in 1959. When he
Okay,
first came
all
up.
right.
And then the spring of 1960, we had a south wind with some ice, and it just took the cribs right out. So that's when I started raising this dock, was in 1960. So I was out of the marina business for 1 year.
Okay, right where we're standing now, there was nothing. This was water
This was
before?
the end of the bank, right?
Right here, right at the end of your building.
Yeah, this was it.
And then you gradually started getting, how many boats did you have your first year?
Didn't have any.
None. I mean your first year when you started your business, your dock or your
Oh,
pier.
you mean the main pier going out?
Well, after this, the man came from Saugerties, and you said you started to get...
Well, that was in 59, 1960. As I said, the ice took out the 2 cribs.
Right.
So I was out of business then, and then I raised the old pier, and the old pier is a little over 500 feet long. I raised that. I had an 8-foot driveway going out to the end. But we finished working on that in 3 or 4 days before Christmas in '61.
You have
60, I mean.
You have mostly motor boats more than sailboats?
Well, right now we do. At one time, and we really had the gas crisis, we had an awful lot of sailboats. But now the power boats seem to have taken over.
For we people that don't know sailboats well, do they have a motor in there too? Or
Yes,
do they carry? They do. They don't want to get out there.
No, they have some of the smaller ones have outboards, and even some of and then you get a little bigger, they have inboards.
Well, Dick, how many people do you employ now?
Well, in the summertime we employ about 15.
You have that many employees?
Well, we have dock people working out there, mechanic, we have office help, and then up in the front we have people working here.
Right.
So there's about 15 or 16 that we hire in the summertime.
Right. And you can do repairs. What kind of repairs do you do on boats?
Well, we do repairs, some hull repair, no major hull repair, but engine repairs, outdrive on Volvo, mainly Volvo because that's the one my man's going to school on.
Are there a lot of Volvo engines in these boats?
There's quite, it's very popular in the marine line. Well, they also have the Volvo automobile, but they they build trucks, and they have outdrive. They have diesel and gasoline engines for marine. Volvo is very well known in the marine industry.
Okay, let's have a what if. Okay.
Okay.
I stopped in this morning and I said I was told that you have a very nice marina, and there's several others in Rouses Poiint, but I like being across from the church because I'm very religious, and I'd like to bring my boat here. And do you have any spaces?
I had a few this summer.
No, you're answering just me now. You're
just
asking.
you. Yes, I have a space.
Okay. Now, what other questions do you want to know? What do I got?
Well, first of all, I want to know what type boat it is, whether it's sail or power.
It's a power boat.
Power boat, because the sail they draw a lot more water, and and if you get a sailboat that's say drew 6 feet of water, I couldn't put it in near shore. At low water, we have 4.5 feet.
When you, I'm sure there's some people that won't know what you mean by drawing water.
Well, it's how much water, how far down does the keel go?
Oh, okay. So you don't want to rub on the bottom, right?
Yeah,
all right. Okay, so I've got a motor though, and my boat, and I haven't been in boating too long, Mr. Gaines, but I'd like to have a place to put it. I just barely got it, as a matter of fact. I got some money, and I wanted to. What's it going to cost me to? How are you going to charge me, by the foot?
Well, we charge by the foot. And then you get your, well, some places have different ways of doing it. We give your electricity goes along with your dockage. And you also have a water outlet there, and you have showers and washrooms.
Okay, now if I get a week off of vacation, I'd like to come down and just live in my boat right here in the pier. Could I do that?
Yes, you can.
I can do that, all right. Are you interested? You haven't asked me yet how long my boat is.
Well, you've been talking.
Oh. Well, you're supposed to ask me these questions. Okay, where will I? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'd have to know how long your boat is, and
30-footer.
30 foot. Well, a 30-foot water we can take on the inside anywhere. That isn't too hard to park. If you get up around 38, 40 feet, then we'd have to put you out further because the docks on the inside are not really made for 40-footers. They're made for anything up around 30, 32, 34 foot.
Yeah. Now, if I go for 3 or 4 days, and of course we'll be driving down because I want to leave my boat here. What'll happen to my car? Do you have a place to put my car?
Oh, we have a place to park.
You can park it on your pier here? Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Well, then I'm going to rent a place from you, Mr. Gaines, and I'm very happy to be with you, and I'll be down with my boat next Tuesday.
All right, fine.
No problem?
Be glad to see you. Be no problem.
And what if I want to store it in the winter? What'll happen to my boat in the winter? Can I leave it here in the winter?
Yeah, we have a travel lift. We haul your boat out of the water. If you have a stand for it, we'll put it on your stand. If you're not, we also have stands we can put underneath your boat and block what they call blocking.
Yeah,
so that's no problem. Also, we can winterize it for you, and if you want it covered, we can do that also.
Do I have to have any kind of license to leave it here with you?
No, you don't.
Nothing that'll be taken. All right. And I can get gas here naturally. I can get you the oil, and you can do a little bit of repairs. You told me.
We also have a pump out station.
Do I have to come to what if I don't come down for a month? Is that any problem?
No problem at all.
No,
if you say you're not coming down for a month, we'll keep an eye on it for you.
Okay. Do you get much wind damage at all at your pier?
No.
I'm the customer now.
No, not at the pier, no.
Okay, we're going to take a little walk out closer to these boats, and we'll be right back to you. I want to remind you we're at Gaines Marina. It says so right up there on that great big hoist. And we're with Dick Gaines, Bob Venn, with what's going on here. And if you have a tendency to get seasick, I want to let you know that we're standing out on one of the floating docks, and it does move. Calvin will be moving, and Dick feels like he's on dry land here, don't you?
Well, you get used to it after a while.
Dick, you mentioned there was a pier that went out before, right? That went all the way out some time ago. You did?
It was a coaling dock. And eventually, this fellow that owned it before my father had it, he took a lot of the stone off of it. And it used to come out of water in the fall. And then I had the opportunity to fill it in and raise it. In fact, at one time when I used to talk over with Ray Penfield. Ray Penfield was working for the state, he was state engineer. And I used to tell him how I wanted to raise the dock and use it again. So one day, Ray came into me and he said, do you still want to raise that dock? And I said, sure, why? And he said, well, we're going to be taking an awful lot of fill, he said, out of the streets. And he said, we got to have a place to put it. Well, I said, I'm not really interested in dirt because it won't stay. No, he said, this is clay. And, well, I said, I'll tell you what, Ray. I said, give me a little while to think it over in a week or two. And I said, I'll let you know. I said, that's quite an undertaking, you know. And he said, okay, I'll be back at 1 o'clock this afternoon and get your answer. So that's how we got started.
And you originally, the 8 or 12 feet you had was on this side, this first part right here?
The first part in here. See this? You can see the bank where it comes down. See
Oh,
the telephone
yes,
pole?
okay, that's where original was.
Yeah.
And then you expanded it to what now, 120 feet, I
No,
think?
it went out over 500.
But I mean, to the, what width now is?
About 140
100
feet.
And then what do? You built some more stones on the other side and filled in between?
Yeah, we filled in with the dredge. This area you're looking in here was all dredged out with a hydraulic dredge. We pulled out around 14,000 yards.
Can anybody just do this out into the lake?
No, you have to have permits. And I think today, overall, on the marina itself, overall, I don't think it'd be allowed today. I mean, I can make repairs or I can make additions, but I think an overall picture of the whole marina, I don't think they'd allow you to do it.
Dick, what's that big cement block doing right there? Was that original?
One time we had a dock coming out. You see, this one here is tied back to a cement block, and we had another dock over there.
Oh, that's
we don't use it anymore.
Okay, now right behind us, we're looking at some shopping carts.
Well, the shopping carts, they're from the Grand Union. The Grand Union lets the people take the carts out. They buy their groceries and they put their groceries in the cart.
And they walking from the Grand Union down,
They
right?
walk down. They're pushing the carts down, which is very nice of the Grand Union to do, because this also brings in business. People can find out they can get their groceries down here, then they will stop. This means they go to a restaurant. They might go here, might go there, and they'll spend where otherwise maybe they wouldn't come in at all. They go right by. So every little bit helps, helps somebody else.
So when the man goes back to shop, he takes the cart and he pushes it back?
Oh no, the Grand Union comes down here and picks it up.
The Grand Union will come down?
And they picked up the carts.
With a truck?
Yeah, it's a very nice gesture.
It certainly is. I'm sure
it's appreciated.
I'm sure it's appreciated by you and by the clients, the boat owners, right?
The boat owners.
Now the lake is very calm. These boats are hardly moving. That isn't natural all the time, is it?
In this far, you don't get much movement. There's not too much movement. You might get a little. If we have a northeast wind, you'll get some movement. But usually on the south wind, they might move a little more, but not very much.
Yeah. Except for one of these. Well, let's see. We do a rowboat here or a motorboat. What lengths of boats do you have here on your premises? Would you say from?
You
like
mean
this one here?
length?
Yeah, this one here is what, 20?
Well, this is about 24 feet.
20. Is that one of the smallest?
It's the smaller one.
And then how big did the biggest one go to?
Well, the biggest one we had this year was 63 feet.
And the price range, if a person were to go out and buy a new one, from 24 foot up to 63, what do you figure that would
you're talking,
go in prices?
You're talking, well, 63. We had the 163 footer was worth $1 million.
$1 million.
It was a Viking. They're a very well known boat, and they're a top boat. This boat here is about 30 feet. I'd say this boat probably run around 65,000.
Right there. Is that a typical boat? Is that more than typical?
Well, it's about 32 feet. My average boat, and figuring everything out, average is about 32 foot.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking $50,000 to $60,000,
yeah.
right?
And
yeah,
boating is very expensive. Even just a rowboat with an outboard in the back of it.
Yeah,
it's expensive.
Dick, what's it cost? How many miles a gallon can you get on a boat like this?
Well, they probably burn about this boat here probably burns around 8-9 gallons an hour.
This one right here, the Century.
Probably about 3 miles to gallon.
3 miles to a gallon. But of course, if you're worried about the gas, you can't afford the boat, really,
right.
because now as we're looking around the premises, Dick, behind us here, we're looking at the shoreline now, right over here. I have some pictures at home. I save old historical things, but I have a picture of breaking some liquor bottles right across from the church.
Well, there used to be a dump all along in here.
Right?
A dump.
Between here and the road.
In fact, one time years ago, they used to bring barges in here. In fact, the lakeshore used to be way up near where the church steps are. And they used to bring barges in here in the wintertime, and the kids would go to school up to the convent or the high school.
And they lived on the barge?
Lived on the barges.
And this is the church property, I understand, right here?
Belongs to the church, and the other side over there belongs to the village.
Next to the gazebo,
right.
Belongs to the village.
Belongs to the village.
And the church parking is over there, just at the other side, toward the road side of this. And your land starts right up there, where that hill is?
Yeah, right where that hill is.
Up to the left.
Yeah.
And now, what about this here? It looks like this might be their water. You have rights here or something?
No, I have water rights.
You have water rights all the way along?
I own the bottom of the lake. I own the docking privileges and the water rights.
Now, when you talked about before, you were telling me just before you did a lot of dredging in here. How do you dredge? What is that?
Well, it's a hydraulic dredge. It has an auger on the front, and it's run by a diesel engine. And then they have two pumps, or a pump in the inside, and it was run by, in this particular dredge, they had two 671 Jimmy diesels on it. and that pulls the water through. It pulls the water through whatever the auger digs up. It pulls it right through a pipe, and you drop it off wherever you want to.
Oh, the pipe, you actually stay here. You don't pick up the dirt and then carry it away.
No.
It goes through the pipe and dumps it somewhere else?
Through with the water.
Can you do that here and shove it up where you're...
Well, we did that. We pulled out around 14,000 yards.
I put that right where your pier is, correct?
We made put stone along one side and made like a well, and then we filled it in with the dredgings.
How many hours a day do you have to have someone here to really be active? How early in the morning do you have to be here?
Well, we're here from 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock at night in summertime.
You get any calls where someone wants gas late at night?
Not too many.
Not too many of that. You're not looking forward to it either.
Well, no, but the thing is, at night, there's not that many boats out at night. Once it starts getting dark, they usually come in.
Do you have to pick up all these docks, these floating docks?
We
in the
used
winter?
to, but I don't anymore.
You don't? You leave them right there?
I leave them right in.
No problem.
The ice doesn't hurt. Well, you see, the ice doesn't move in here. The ice, usually it just melts right in here. Between the state dock that sticks out and the sportsman's pier and mine, it kind of wedges the ice in and holds it. And we don't have to worry about a south wind because my breakwater protects us from that.
Okay, and you build these docks yourself, right here?
We build everything ourselves.
And how long can you expect a dock like this to last?
This dock is around 18 or 19 years old.
Already?
Yeah. This dock, this is the last year for this dock. We're going to replace it with a wider dock.
And this is spruce?
This is yeah, spruce. You're right.
I noticed that you have electric here,
yeah,
and water.
Yeah. See, this here they must have caught a rope in it. They caught a rope and it pulls them out.
Pulled it out, and you have those every so often along the way. Every boat has its own place like that.
Have their own electricity and water.
Okay, we'll leave this part of the Gaines Marina, and we're talking about boating today, and our focus is at Gaines Marina in Rouses Poiint. It's been here for, I guess you'd say, over 30 years. In about 30 years now as a pier at this location. We'll be right back. All right, we're now looking at what, Dick? Go ahead, tell me what we're looking at.
Here's the travel lift. This is what we pick the boats out of the water with and bring them up on shore and set them down and get them ready to block. This particular travel lift is all operated by hydraulics. The front wheels are what moves it back and forth. And you'll look over there, you can see the spools of wire. That works on hydraulic, unwinds or winds or unwinds, lifts or lowers the boat. And these are the straps that are that lift the boat. Each one of those straps are rated for 14 tons.
Can I call that a sling? Is that a sling type thing? Okay.
That's a sling. And the overall, this lift here is rated for 25 ton. It's tested for 30, but it's rated at 25. They always test them at 20% over what they call capacity.
So there's no gas involved here, nothing.
Well, the gas, you have a gasoline engine, and that works.
That has to run the hydraulic. Okay, someone's got to run. Okay, so now this obviously can't go out on top of one of your docks out there to pick up a boat. No. And you told me you have something at the end, right?
We have a runway that this goes on, and the boats come in to slip, and then they come into the straps, and then we lift them.
We just drop the straps under down below, and then there they go. And then how does the whole lift move to another location?
Well, over here it's kind of hard to see, but
all right
over here is like a hydraulic motor, and this motor turns. When the motor turns, it turns this wheel, and it turns the other wheel. There's two of them.
So hydraulic makes the unit move itself.
That's right.
And where are you during this time? Up on that?
Up there
up with the controls.
You see the engines up there.
Yeah.
And the pumps are in the back. Hydraulic pumps in the back.
Yeah.
And you have your hydraulic oil and your fuel tank.
We're just asking, Dick, what a machine like this would cost.
Well, a machine like this, when I bought it, was about $56,000. Today they're about $70 for the same machine.
And you've had it?
I've had it 5 years.
Calvin just mentioned while we were changing batteries, and that's why we had the break, that Dick had to buy it because his name was on it.
I had no choice.
Leave it to Calvin. Oh, sure. So you're saying these hydraulics moves that unit. Yeah. The operator is up there, and you bring that boat over either to their own. What do you call it? Where if you look over here, Calvin, way over on the right, what do you call that that the boat is sitting on?
It's a cradle.
That's a cradle. Yeah. That belongs to the boat owner himself.
That belongs to the boat owner.
Or you put it on these little.
We call blocking them.
Okay, let's look over here, Dick. We can see one up close, right?
This boat is only blocked. This boat is only blocked temporarily because we're doing. As long as over there, we're going to have to move it again.
Okay, and they're underneath, and that is there something underneath? Is there a brace in that boat? You're underneath one of the ribs or whatever?
Oh yeah, the bolts are well braced.
Well
There's
braced.
no problem. All your weight is on the keel. There's very little weight here. All this is used for stabilizing.
All
To
right.
stop from rocking.
Oh, the bottom is where the weight is. Okay, the weight is on the blocks underneath.
The keel is supporting the weight.
He's talking keel. We don't know where the keel is. The only keel we knew was Howard Keel. And this, by the way, these steps do not get you into this boat.
Well, they go for another boat.
That's where they sit and rest while they're working on getting the boat up here.
That's why it looks kind of worn.
Now, Dick, let's just get into a sailboat a little bit. We'll just take a break and we'll be right back. We're looking at a sailboat, and the mast, the only thing I know on this is the mast. And what is the one that goes across? Is that called the jib?
That's the boom.
That's the boom. The boom goes parallel with the water. Vertical is the mast. Now, what makes a sailboat work? We're going to try and have Dick Gaines tell us. Dick, what is this called here?
That's your keel. That's your stabilizer.
That always stays in that position.
Yes, it doesn't move.
The stabilizer so it can't tip, you mean?
Some of them do have keels that they can lift. In other words, this keel will come up into the bottom of the boat. But usually it's made of very light material, and then they can let it down when they're underway. But this is a fixed keel. It will not does not move.
Now, how do you steer the boat
With that rudder.
with the rudder in the back?
Some have a steering wheel, some have just a regular hand.
All right. Now, how is that controlled, you say?
Up above inside of the boat.
All right. So now, when you're sailing, the biggest thing is your boom to get the wind, right? Is that
Well,
correct?
that holds your sail.
I thought there was something down below that kind of, I don't really understand sailing, but I know it always seemed difficult for me to sail into the wind.
But it's almost impossible to go right into the wind. You have to go, either you have to tack one side or the other, or it has to be the wind have to be in back of you. You can't go directly.
What do you mean tack?
Well, what you do is you're going on an angle. So
You never go straight. You're always going.
You tack. You tack back and forth.
And what's this got to do with the mast?
If you don't have any wind, this is your wind.
That's your wind right here.
Underwater wind.
And that is, but when they have a sailing race, how does somebody know they're not getting a little bit of assistance?
Well, you can tell. You can
See the bubble?
You can see the bubble at the fumes.
Okay, now this is an inboard.
Well, this boat has an inboard, correct. It probably has maybe about a 10 or 15, maybe it's either gasoline or diesel. Just guessing, I'd say it was diesel.
And that little propeller can move that boat
About
that well?
about 6-7 miles an hour.
And how long is this boat, you think, about 30ish?
About 28 feet.
28?
About 28 feet.
And this one here will be an outboard?
This one here is an outboard. You can see the rack on the back of the boat. That's where the outboard is, right there.
And the boat we looked at, if Calvin would just come around here, the one we looked at over on the blocks is a 34-footer, I think Dick told us. That one over there, Dick, 34.
Yep.
And that kind of boat, you're talking 50 to 75,000?
Oh, you're talking a lot more than that.
A lot more than that.
You're talking maybe 100. Depending what's on it for equipment and everything.
Okay,
if you
now-
have a basic boat, then you start adding to it.
Okay, we can see some glass and we see a rail going around. What can't we see inside? What's inside of that boat?
Well, you can't see the engines. He has a generator also beside, probably the 6.5 generator.
That's in the back?
That would be in back next to the engine.
Okay, and what do they got for space inside? What do they have, a bedroom?
Oh, there's bunks and everything inside. They also have a stove. They have a refrigerator. They have air conditioning.
Air conditioning.
This particular yacht has a radar on it. He also has another aerial for his TV. It depends what you put on a boat. You could take two boats, the same boats, put them side by side. One boat probably worth $40,000 more than the other because of the equipment.
If you and I were to take this with our wives tonight, the four of us go out,
Mhm.
is there two separate rooms in there?
No, Usually where the table is, you can let that down and form another boat.
All right. Suppose we go out tonight and we're going to go to Lake George, and we get down near Ticonderoga, and we figure it's time to go to bed. It's time to stop going. What do? Do we moor out in the water, or do we pull into a dock? What do you do?
Well, you can moor out in the water in the lake if you want to, or you can pull into a marina. Of course, if you moor out, this is when you start using your generator and all your own equipment you have aboard. If you pull into a marina, then you plug into their electricity, and you also hook up to their water supply.
Do you have people just come in, stay overnight, and leave the next day?
Yes, we do.
You do have that, and you have a special place for those people, obviously.
Well, usually the marina is full, so July, starting with St. John the Baptist Day, that's usually when the Canadians start taking their vacation. So then we have empty spots, and we rent those out.
Did you get a lot of those people?
We get quite a few that leave during the summer. They're gone at different times. Maybe there's 3 boats off this dock going for 2 weeks, so they come back. And there's always empty spots by people going because people are on vacation.
Now, that brings up a question. If I lease that space for all summer, what right do you have to rent it when I'm gone for 2 weeks?
Well, we can rent it. We can rent the spot out. But if you come back unexpectedly, we have to give you back.
Okay, so in other words, I know that before I come here, that space, if I'm gone, can be rented to somebody else, and it's part of our agreement?
Yeah. If it was set up like a condo, then that wouldn't be true. That would be your spot. It would not. When you were gone, nobody would be there.
I guess there's nothing they can do to hurt anything when I'm gone, right?
No.
Unless I have a favorite fish or something they're going to run over.
But if you suddenly called up and you said, Dick, I've had a little trouble with the boat, I got to bring it back.
Yeah.
We'd have to clear the boat out of there and make a space for you right in your same place.
Dick, I'm not particularly asking you about your place, but are there many accidents from one boat to another when they come in? They get kind of wild, or not wild, but they make a mistake and hit somebody else's boat. Does that happen often?
Not very often.
Not very.
I have had it happen, but not very often.
Right.
Most people in here, in the marina that are here, if somebody's coming in and it's windy and there's adverse conditions, they usually go out and help them.
Okay.
And our people that are working here, they'll go out and help them.
Okay.
So it usually keeps it down to a minimum.
And most of these people back into their space?
Well, some of them back, some of them going forward.
All right. Dick, let's go out toward the point. You can show us where you lift these boats out of the water, all right? We'll take a short break and be right back. Well, we've moved out a little bit. We're looking north right now. We've seen some pretty big units here, Dick. They don't go in the normal way. They're lengthways.
Well, this is what they call side dockage. The other what you call finger dockage. Usually we keep the bigger boats on side dockage. It's easier to get. Although we do have finger dockage out there, but this particular dock, and we put it in, there's not enough space in between this dock and that dock to put a finger dock. When we get out a little further, I'll show you why that these are side. Now, these are pretty good sized bolts. These range anywhere from about 35, 36 up to around 43 feet. In fact, there's one out there. She's 54 feet.
You're talking a couple $100,000.
Oh, this boat there, you're talking $400,000 or $500,000 to get up there.
Doesn't seem proper to call it just a boat.
Well,
a yacht. Let's call it a yacht. All right, you got another name for it.
Most all our big boats are out here. We have on these last 3 docks, we have our electricity is a lot more electricity out here than we have inside. Most of these docks is 30 amp, but these docks going 30 amp 110, but these last 3 docks are 50 amps 220.
They're pretty well self-sufficient if you want to stay there in a week, can't you?
Yeah.
What's going on right here? What are you doing?
Well, what we're doing, this dock here, we're going to change our electricity next year.
To bigger?
Bigger. We're going to change some of it to 50 amps 220. So we're putting in a line from this transformer over to here. This box is full, so we got to put another box in to be able to hold the wire we're going to put in.
Now, when nobody is on those boats or yachts, are they still hooked up to electricity right now?
They're plugged in all the
They're
while.
Plugged in because they're running a refrigerator?
They have refrigerators, everything.
Or something else that's working.
Freezers.
So would you say, let's just say this first boat right here. Let's say this first yacht right here in front of it.
That was 42 foot.
A 42 foot. How many days a week is that used normally? 2?
Usually they're down on weekends. And
Just
that's about
weekends,
it. Unless they go out on vacation. But outside of that, you never see them. They usually come down Friday night or Saturday morning, and they leave. They go back Sunday night or Monday morning, the latest, very early in the morning.
You know, you get out here, and I haven't been out on your pier before, but it's a different world when you look at a unit like that.
You don't realize what's down here. You know, you look off in the street, you really don't realize it.
The amount of money, we take 100 at these type of things. You're talking an awful lot of money out here. And then you see the sailboats taking off. Whenever you see that big mast, but the first one here is not. That's a telephone pole, a light pole. Don't get confused. All right. Dick, as we look off in this direction, we can see way out that stone pier that comes out from the, way out.
Oh, that's the breakwater.
The breakwater. All right. Now, nearly every year we hear of a boat going up on there and getting moored. Not moored, but wrecked up some way.
I think it's happened a couple times at night. It's amazing. When you go out at night, it's just a perspective is a lot different than it is when you're out in the daytime. Everything looks different. I don't know why. The distances don't seem to be quite the same. You have to watch yourself a lot more when you're out at night than in the daytime. It is different. I'll say that to you.
And people are sailing along, they don't even know it and bang up or up on it.
A lot of times they think they're here and they're not. They're there.
All right.
That's when it happens.
Now, what is the reason for a breakwater?
Well, the breakwater at one time was to protect this area up in here. It used to be old Rouses Poiint, probably used to be up into there. And that was built to protect that area.
Does it protect you at all?
Yes, some. It's amazing.
It's really to stop the waves from building up or whatever?
We still get plenty of waves, but it's worse on the other side of the breakwater than it is here.
Do you ever get water up on top of here?
We did one year when we had that high water, but since then we've raised this some more. So I don't think the water would come up here again.
When you say you raised it, you raised the whole thing a foot or two?
All this, yeah. We raised it up a little more.
That's a lot of loads, isn't it?
Yeah, this is all fill.
I thought this was all profit.
Oh, it is.
The Marina is all profit, right?
Yes.
Dick, getting back to the breakwater just a second here. Who maintains that? Is that a state or is that
federal government?
Federal government.
Federal government.
Because the break between Vermont and New York is about halfway out, not quite halfway out.
It's beyond the breakwater.
The breakwater, then it starts Vermont, right? So the federal take care of that. You're looking at Lake Street. Calvin has checking that. That's Lake Street over on the far side. It's hard to visualize it. I know what you're saying. We're right here, and it's hard for me to pick out the houses. I do see Jenny Dodd's house, the third one down there on the left, the gray, and you can see the anchorage where that's going to go up. We were over there doing a show just recently, and yes, it sure is. And I see they got their footings were up, and now they got their walls in their basement already, and they'll be Jules will be going on that pretty soon, you know. So most of your construction is very little construction as far as wood here. Yours is land and stone, right?
Stone. Everything's stone.
All right, what are the buildings for out here that we're looking at, Dick?
Take a shot.
Okay, just give me a... Okay, we're back on and we're looking, again, we're facing northeast now, out toward the bridge if you're standing on the pier. And there's two buildings, Dick, and tell us, first of all, the one with no windows here. What's this first one with the red roof?
Well, that contains 2 gasoline tanks. We have an 8,000-gallon gas tank, and we have a 6,000-gallon diesel tank.
Undercover.
And they're also, it's all cemented, it's all in cement.
And then where are your pumps?
The pumps are on the other side.
On the other side? Okay, now, and to the left, I see like a seating arrangement up on top there. What is that platform?
Well, they can use that in the summertime. There's chairs up there. They can go up and sit down and look out over the lake.
These are your chairs?
Yes, they
are.
And the building, we use that for making out our credit cards, and we do carry a few marine supplies, and the customs also use it.
At this point, the customs don't come here and wait. Whenever a boat comes in, you call them and they come down and check them?
Well, from the 1st of July to Labor Day, they're here from 10 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night.
Every day?
7 days a week.
I didn't know that.
During that period.
There's that much action?
Well, we sometimes have up to 200, 250 boats a day come in and out of here. For gas, customs, and whatever.
Now, do you get any kind of income from that?
Well, what we do, I don't get paid by the government. In fact, my father had the same setup when he was over and back of Sandy, where Sandy's is, and what they do, boats come in, and then they come in, and after you offer these services, usually they'll buy something.
Oh, okay, all right. You're getting something from it, but it's not, it's
not direct.
Not direct. Well, that's great though. Then you also get some advertising. Very well from you.
Works out very nicely.
I'm sure you get some customers from that too, where they say, hey, you know, I had a nice place to put my boat, whatever, you know.
Of course, the only bad part is when we had the last gas shortage.
Oh, yeah.
And also when the gas was cheaper in Canada.
Yes.
You'd ask if you need any gas, they just smile.
No, yeah. Well, now let me ask you now, what happens if a boat comes down, or a boat, a yacht, a small one, and he pulls into one of the other marinas before he comes here? Is there somebody there with customs too?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
there is?
Oh, yes. We on Lighthouse is a man there in the summertime now.
I didn't
because
know
the
that.
business,
Okay.
the traffic has gotten quite heavy.
All right, Dick. We are going to go out and look at the end of the pier, and there we look at some crushed stones right here. There's a load right there that Mr. Grimshaw is bringing in, and he's dropping that back there where the other electricity has been put in. And you said about 110 boats, right here? 110 boats, ships,
Depending on
yachts.
the length, you know, because if you got shorter boats, you can get more boats in.
Uh-huh. So you don't take your vacation in the summer?
No. No.
Oh, I thought you were on vacation all the time. That's not right either.
Well, usually, but not in the summer.
With all this profit, 100% profit,
we're going to play to travel.
We're going to move a little bit, and we sure appreciate Dick Gage telling us about boating here today. And of course, the best place to talk about boating is at a boat pier tie-up where a man who knows about boating, and that's Dick Gage, a friend of many years. We don't see him often. I don't have a boat, don't know much about boats, but we know Dick, and we know him back there as an unselfish passer in basketball. He used to feed us the ball, and well known throughout the North Country, and we're very pleased to have him here on camera today with what's going on here, and we'll be right back. And thank you very much for tuning in, and we hope that you're enjoying and learning something at this boat show we're having right here.
Thank you.
Starting to spit a little bit of rain on us right now. We're going to just close out here very quickly, but we're looking at another sailboat, Dick, that you said had a full keel.
It's a full keel.
In other words, then it's a little for
It runs
shallow.
almost the whole length of
the whole length of the boat.
The other sailboats are what they call spade keel.
Okay, is that setting where it's going to be all winter?
Yes.
Okay, that one there is permanent. What's this other unit right here?
Well, this is the yard trailer. This is what we move our. This is what we move our boats around on. You set the cradle. Excuse me.
Okay.
You set the cradle in here on these cross pieces. Now this is set up for a cruiser right now. These stands are for moving a cruiser.
Okay, excuse me, but you pick it out of the water first with your
First, yes.
drop it on here.
And we put it on here and move it where we want to. With this, we can get the boats much closer.
All right, and then you lift. Then how do you get it down to the
Well,
ground?
this is operated hydraulically, and we let these down and let the cradle right down onto the blocks.
And then you can drive off.
We pull this back piece of metal off.
Oh, the
drive
cross
away.
piece is pulled away.
Pull away, then we pull it away. This will haul 16 tons.
Wow, that'll handle any boat you have here, any yacht.
Most of them.
All right. We look out here as the rain's coming down. This is what you were talking about right here, Dick?
This is the runway for the travel lift.
Just a minute, I don't know if you can hear. Okay.
This is the runway for the travel lift.
Right here.
Right here.
So the travel lift comes out, and they bring their boat around and come in here, and then you drop your
Slings
down
and
underneath.
Then they move into the travel lift over the slings.
And then you lift it up, and then you immediately go to your yard.
There, or if the boat is too big for this, we place the boat with the travel lift.
Okay, and they get their gas right here.
Yeah,
Those
right
are your long.
This is for the pump out.
And
right
your
here.
long hoses are there.
Yeah. There's 4 pumps, 3 gasoline, 1 diesel.
And what's the white unit for?
The white unit is for a pump out, clean out their heads.
Cleaning out their heads. All right.
And this here is driven down. These pilings are down around. Well, those pilings are about 36 feet long.
Right underneath here, underneath
they're
the blue.
between 17 and 19
It's starting
feet.
to rain pretty hard. I think
into
we're
the
going to
ground.
go inside.
Okay.
Okay, we're just about finished here, and we'll be right in back with you inside. All right, Calvin has got his camera on a. They have a passenger here looking for his boat. It's a little crane you can see walking out. He's walking around behind. You still have him on there, Cal? He's gone around now. He's following one of the docks out, and we're looking at the last dock, the one that's out near the breakwater here. And Dick, you were telling us that underneath one of these docks, you have how many of these? If you look over, you still got it. What do you call these cement?
Anchors.
These are anchors, 4 by 4
by 1 foot thick.
And they weigh approximately? Any idea?
They weigh, let's see, it'd be 16. They weigh approximately a ton.
A ton, and you said you have how many on this one?
That one dock, there's over 70 anchors.
70.
70.
There's 70 anchors like that are along this dock that goes out to the end of the breakwater, and then along where these big yachts are tied up. so that they will not float sideways. You don't want them, you're not tying up rowboats here, you know.
No,
And
you get a high wind and you need it. And you see all those fingers have 2 to 4 anchors on them, plus your main dock. Every section of dock has 2 anchors.
And the fingers are the part that come in on either side of the yachts, right, to separate them?
Yeah.
And there's no chance that you can extend this on anymore.
No,
That's done. This is as far as you're going to go. Now, and of course, it's much narrower out here. The breakwater. Did you built this breakwater too?
I built the breakwater.
And how deep do you have to go down on this breakwater?
Well, this top of this breakwater is about 21, 22 feet above the bottom of the lake.
That's an awful lot of fill.
There's over from back of where that car is out to the end. There's over 25,000 yards of stone.
So it's stone in here you
All
put.
stone.
Where do you get stone like that?
Well, some of them come out of Cannon's Corners. Some come out of Canada. Some of the farmers, we picked some up near the other side of Champlain.
Some of this was given to you because they were cleaning out certain things, right?
Most of it, the stone wasn't, but some of the fill on the inside was dirt was in there, or clay, and that was given to me.
Where does the village water come in? Is it?
Well, the water tank,
the water intake
is out way out in there.
way out in the
Yeah.
in the channel
the
type,
side,
huh?
yeah. It's way out. There's no danger of hitting it because you get out over in here and there's 9 feet of water over it, so there's nothing around here that would hit it. Yeah, but the 9 feet would be at low water.
Have you noticed any difference in the size of the boats coming in now that they got the new bridge rather than the bridge they had before? More traffic, less traffic?
Well, I think it's a little more traffic because, especially on the sailboats, because it didn't bother the cruisers any.
Yeah.
Well, at high water maybe it did a little bit, but ordinary water didn't bother the cruisers that much. The main boat it bothered was the sailboats, kind of their mass.
We're out on the breakwater, out at the along the last dock here at Gaines Marina. We're talking about boats, yachts, and sailboats this morning, and we're just about coming to the close of our interview with Dick Gaines. We want to thank him very much as we're out here on the end of the pier. It's been enlightening to us. I hope that you've learned something about boats and sailboats. You learned what a keel is this morning. You saw a crane, that little crane on the dock. You saw the big crane. I guess you can't call that a crane. What's your big blue called
That's
again?
A travel lift.
A travel lift.
We do have a crane in there. We use that mainly for, lifting this and that, but we use it mainly for putting up and taking down masts.
And that is your crane too, huh? That's
crane.
also yours. A lot of investment here, Dick. An awful lot over the years. You've been here for 35 years.
Since 1958.
And that's 32 years, right? A lot of things have changed in Rouses Poiint.
Oh, a lot of things have changed.
The biggest change is the number of boats on the water.
Oh, there's a lot more boats than my father was in, but they didn't have the traffic than they have now.
Mm-hmm.
It's really amazing the number of boats that are here. And as you can see, they also contribute a lot to the community.
Oh, that's a big thing we should talk about, I think. That's very important. We've already seen that they use the carts to go to the Grand Union.
That's right.
They frequent some of the restaurants, obviously.
They do.
Very much so. They come to our church. They come to your church here in town. The Catholic church, the other churches in town. The post office must get a lot of business, some business from them, right?
Also, you have your stores. They go down to their store. These people are looking for places to go and something to do. They're on vacation or they got a weekend, so they're looking for something to do. And whatever you have here, whatever you have, they will use, and they do spend. And they buy fuel. They're buying groceries. They get this and that, and every little bit of that leaves a lot of money in the town, directly, and also you get a lot off your sales tax. Your money, it comes back to your villages from your sales tax, and these people do spend a lot of money, and I imagine they pay quite a bit on sales tax. Well, it's 7% to everybody, but I mean, with the money they spend.
Dick, are these a lot of repeat business you have here? These people have been with you a long, long time?
Well, I have one out on the end, Mr. Kurdenak from Anakemia Chemical. He's been with me off and on since 1962.
That's 28 years. 28 years. And
we've got other boats been here 14, 15 years, some 3 or 4 or 2, and then there's others, they stay at a marina a year or 2 and they move on to another one and down, then eventually they come back. Some of them come back, some don't.
We see a sign in this first one right in front of us that says "A vendre." That means it's for sale.
Yeah, it's for sale. He wants to get a larger one.
Get a larger one, huh? Well, how many people, or what percentage, if you can give me any idea, I mean, you rephrase that. Do many of these people go out for overnight, or do they come back every night?
No, they go out.
They go out
No,
and they're
they go.
gone for a weekend, and then they come
Sometimes
back?
they go down to New York City. Some go to Cape Cod. Some go down.
Go that far?
Oh yeah, they go down to Atlantic City. It's very easy to get from here into down to New York City. You get down to Whitehall into the canal, and you come out at Troy, New York, and you're in the Hudson River.
Would you say that the average person that's in here is affluent? He's got some money, or
Yes.
he's got to have some, or
Yeah.
is he stretching it? That's why he can have a boat.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Most of them have
most
money.
of them have money.
And we look across here, Dick, at the 4 new houses out on the point. I was thinking that, you know, Mr. Harrison can probably come to work by boat a lot quicker than by car.
A lot faster.
Yes, a
Easier,
lot faster.
A lot shorter.
Huh?
A lot
Much
shorter.
shorter, and as long as it don't get stormy, he can come get you to drive him home at night. If he's
right.
over there. That's Peter Harrison. I don't know which one he is. I think he's the 3rd one in that we can see. There's the big pink one, and there's another one. I think the 2nd one in is Arthur Spiegel's, and I think the 3rd or the 4th one. The 4th,
I don't know which one.
the
is
last one over on the left is Peter's.
it. I think so.
The 4th one. The next one belongs to the developer, I think, the daughter, and then I think it's Art Spiegel, and the pink one is from somebody in Canada, I think. But that's nice out there looking over at the Rouses Poiint shore.
It's beautiful in the daytime. When it's nice and clear, you can see the mountains over in Vermont.
Yeah. These people that are moored outside, do they use your boat? Do they have their own boat to go
Well,
out?
some of them have their own boat to go out, and others we take them out. And when they come down, we take them out to their sailboat, and then they can come in back into the dock and load their guests aboard. If they have some work to do in their boats, they can bring them in. You know, especially if they want to plug in, use electricity.
Mm-hmm.
One interesting thing, this debris you see sitting over here inside, we pulled out. That's an old barge we pulled out at one of the end of our docks out there. That's been underwater for over 100 years. And you can look and see the wood on it. It's still in excellent shape. In fact, way out in the end of the breakwater is some more of it. And we're going to pull it out of there next week or so, and then they're going to haul it away.
You use your crane for that?
Well, we had a barge come in with a crane on it, and he had a bucket, and they reached down and grabbed it and picked it up. And we put it on the barge and brought it over here and unloaded it. A lot of it we burnt last winter, but this year we're going to have it hauled away.
Oh, you're going to have it hauled away now, right?
And get rid of it.
That's
Good.
interesting. That wood is really held up.
It's amazing. It's not rotted at all. Look at the size of it.
Yes, I can
It's
see
big
that.
timbers.
All right, and what is this unit out here to the left, right where you go down to your dock? That big cement here, is that?
Well, that's the anchor that holds the dock.
Oh!
That's the anchor that holds the dock. You see it's hooked down below. See the rods that go down the
Yeah.
steel? Well, like hooked onto the dock, and that's what holds it.
I meant the one beyond it, maybe.
Oh, you mean the box?
The box on it,
Oh,
yeah.
that's a transformer. That's our electricity.
All
See
right.
the box over there, we have our wires come down, they go on the dock and out to all the boats. Every boat has their own electricity. There's 50 amps at 250 volts. So no matter what happens to his electricity, the guy next door could care less because that doesn't affect him.
But they all have a separate wire
all
going.
have their separate wires.
Okay, then
See,
you
there's
can
a breaker up here, there's a breaker on the box on the dock, and he has a
Okay.
breaker in his boat, so there's 3 sets of breakers.
and you can see the more of the barge out on the point out
Yeah,
there, right?
yeah.
You can see that
We
too.
got to pull that out of there.
Okay, well, Dick, is there anything else that I haven't covered that we think we should know about
No.
boats, sailboats, or
The
yachts?
only thing we have here, you can take a shot of it, would be this is our biggest boat that we have here right now. It's the Corab that's owned by Mr. Kurdanak.
That's just the Kurdanak.
Yeah, she's 63 feet long. She weighs almost 60 tons.
Let me get a better angle.
Okay, we'll be right back. All right, Calvin is looking at the Corab.
Corab.
Okay, and tell us more about that boat.
Well, it's owned by
Yacht?
Mr. Kurdanak. It's 63 feet. The hull is made of 1/4-inch steel. The superstructure up above is aluminum. Fully loaded, she weighs around 60 ton.
Wow, wow. While we were taking a break here to get over in this part of the pier, the dock, the breakwater, Calvin was asking, mentioning, rightly so, that you can go down into New York City. You can go to the ocean by going up to Montreal.
You can you go up to St. John's into the locks,
and you
then
can go all the
come
way to the Great Lakes.
and then you come out of the locks at Sorel and you're into the St. Lawrence River.
Okay, and another question he had was that give us an idea of people you've had here. From how far away have they boated here or sailed
California.
here? California.
Yeah, in California.
That means they've gone down around into the canal.
Through the
Panama?
canal and up into the Hudson. and a lot of them go into Albany and then go through the barge canal through Oswego up into the St. Lawrence and back down around back into here again.
If I asked you what you can think of, what's one of the most unusual things that's happened to you with boats since you've been here? Can you think of anything offhand that an unusual thing that might be of interest to our people watching the show that's happened?
We had one. You were talking about later. We had one go up on top of the breakwater, and that's back in that must be back in the early '60s. And we got that off the breakwater, repaired it. The nose was all smashed, and Marvin Bushy was working for me at the time, and he repaired the nose, and we slid it back into the water again. Put new props on her, and he ran her up. And at that time, there was no real ship shops around, so they brought her up to up near Montreal and had her repaired.
You know, he's not that much taller than I am. He's sitting on a higher stone than I am. I should be sitting that side. And Don Green knows what I mean there. I had Don Green stand down over the side of the hill so I would be as tall as he was. All right, this is beautiful out here now. The rain has stopped. We had a little bit of rain before. It's breezy. It's not you wouldn't want to have a picnic out here today, although the facilities are very nice and it's very pleasant out here. But it's getting cool. We're into the 20th of September, and another month and a half, these people will all these will be out of the water, right, Dick?
Well, except once again, the Corab, we bubble him all winter. He sits over in the gas dock.
Oh, wait a minute. What do you mean you bubble him?
Well, they used to do it by air, so they call it bubbling. But the way we do it, there's 2 electric motors with a propeller on them, and what it does, you put the motor down near the bottom of the lake, and this propeller turns and it takes the warm water and puts it up to the top. And the water, it thaws it out and doesn't allow it to freeze. So he's in open water all winter long.
So he's up closer to the shore?
Yeah, he's right up near where the gas pumps were.
Okay. Unbelievable. That's something new. Are there many people that do that along the lake?
Yeah, they do it. I won't say along the lake so much, but they do it. And but this here is done with an electric motor, not with air.
There is ice around, but it just isn't hard. Is there any ice at all?
No, not around it.
Nothing around it?
There's ice away from it, not around the boat. Not around the boat.
Something else? A couple of people coming to see their boats there, or their yachts.
And we also keep the engine room. We keep the engine room heated, not too warm. It's maybe 40 in there.
Very interesting. And nothing else, Dick, that you can think of that I haven't?
Nothing right now. We've covered everything quite completely.
Pretty well. All right. About do you expect boating to continue like this?
I
increase
think,
only?
I think probably it will. I don't think the lake will be flooded with boats or anything like that, but there'll be more boats coming down. There's still an awful lot of room for boats.
Are most of these units built in the United States?
Most of them are.
Where?
Well, most of them, a lot of them are, but a lot of your boats are built over in Asia.
Where are these boats built in the United States? Are there many places? Any center?
Well, there's some of them out in Michigan and Wisconsin, and there's also most of them, an awful lot of them made in Florida. That area.
Has any of the boats that you have here, or any boat you ever had, came directly from the factory to the owner, and he had it delivered here?
Yes.
You have had that?
Yeah. We've had Sea Rays, the Chris Crafts. They bought the boat and they brought it in on a trailer, and we lifted it off with our travel lift and prepared it and put it in the lake.
Boating in general, we notice there's a big black boat on the lake once in a while here. Belongs to Art Spiegel.
Oh, yes.
What is that? What is that?
Well, it's what they call a cigarette type boat. They're very fast, and right now it's sitting, you can see it sitting up there now.
Yeah, it's the black and the white. You can see it in front of it. So he docks that right in front of his.
Right in front of his house.
Now, in the wintertime, I think
he hauls it out in the winter and he puts it in a barn.
I believe it's stored inside. But now that's a fast unit.
Very fast. She'll do. I don't know what she actually did, but she'll do in excess of 50 with no trouble.
But now there's no place in there. Is there a place in there to sleep?
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah, they have places to sleep.
And to eat and so forth. No, that's
it's a little cramped, but it's not. You can move around. I don't have to say you got to crawl in, but it's.
Are there any others like that? You don't have anything a boat like that.
We have one up on the shore.
You do have one.
A 42-footer. I think it's the same length as Art's boat.
Yeah.
They had some trouble with the outdrive, and as soon as we get the outdrive, we'll put it back on, put them back in the lake again.
I noticed some changes along the waterfront. The log cabin motel, the trailers he had out there before are gone. You know anything what his plans are? He's going to make a motel. I guess that's his motel that stretches out that we can see down below.
I don't know what his plans are.
Yeah. Any other changes along this shore that you know of, other than a proposed?
There's been, well, this gentleman up here keeps a couple of boats there, a couple of cruisers. He just added it this year. And there's some other docks that Tim McDonough put in, and he's got some small boats. Dockage he put in keeps small boats there. Of course, my breakwater offers them protection now. See, before they could have never done it.
Yeah.
Because it was too wide open.
And when did you put up the breakwater?
The breakwater, gee, you know, I think that went in around 70, let's see, about 76, 78, somewhere around in there.
Now, if Calvin will move out to the, between these, just out a little bit here and look off to the left, that is the state dock we can see out there?
Just coming out of water.
You can see the state dock, Calvin, just ahead that comes out there. Is that being used for anything at all
No,
right
they
now?
don't use it at all.
There has been some talk about the village taking it over, and
Well, I think I'm not sure if they bought it or not, but there's no one using it right now.
you used to dive off there years
Yeah,
ago,
I'm a
and
kid,
a lot
I
of
used to swim
swimming.
there,
Were you around the time that young Mr. Jennings had his dad's car out there?
Yeah, I remember that.
And
In fact, it was over here. I was in business. We were working on the dock, and I didn't see it go in, but I heard about it.
I understand that the brakes weren't set or something, and it just kind of rolled off and just kind of floated out, and it was floating for a while.
Yeah.
And poor young, was it Howard?
Joe Jennings.
Joe
Joe.
was, I think he was just watching it. Nobody got hurt, but
No.
I'm sure he was a lot of confidence on his area of the community that night when Dad found out his car was underneath the Lake Champlain off the state dock.
Well, they got it, and they fixed it back up again. They had it back in the
They got it washed inside and out.
It was clean.
All right, well, I think we just about had our story today on boating, and Dick, we thank you very, very much.
Okay,
It's
you're welcome,
always
Bob.
a pleasure to see you, and we used to see you once in a while at Customs. I think you stopped and asked or called me a couple times
Oh, yeah.
for some questions, but we're out of that now, and ever think of retiring yourself?
Well, maybe someday. One little thing we haven't mentioned.
Yes?
You know, there's this is also an international airport.
This is an
Yeah,
international
Rouses Poiint
airport?
International Airport is located here. There's only 52 international airports in the United States, and we're one of them.
No, that's for, obviously, it's for planes.
It's for
This
seaplanes.
isn't going to take any...
Well, we used to have helicopters land on here.
You did?
Yeah. We had helicopters. We were the first heliport in Rouses Poiint.
Are there others now?
No, I don't think
Oh,
so.
I was going to say the first, the only.
Well, the only, first and only.
So you have planes that land and they come up here too?
Yeah, well, the seaplanes come in and they go inside, and the customs or immigration, whichever, goes in and inspects them.
Does that happen often?
Oh, we get quite a few. We've gotten more this year than we have.
What do you mean quite a few? How many would that be a year?
Well,
10?
Well, we had maybe 15 or 20 this year. In fact,
You
the other
did?
night we had 3 at one time.
We just don't see them, I guess.
In fact, we have some people now that want to put a scheduled airline in here, airline into here but it'd be on a seaplane. Be a seaplane. They come in the morning and then leave in the afternoon.
Huh.
How they're making out with it, I don't
I'm glad you thought of that. I wouldn't have thought it. You've been watching What's Going On Here. Bob Venn, and our guest today has been Dick Gaines, talking about boats, yachts, sailboats, and Gaines Marina too while we're here. And if you got any questions about boats, stop in and talk to Gaines or one of his people that work with him. He's got about 15 to 17 in the summer. You drop to how many in the winter?
Well, we only have about 4 or 5 in the winter.
4 or 5. And even Dick don't work as much in the winter. That's his time off. He gets a chance to watch some basketball games on TV, huh?
Yeah.
You do it. Cable's great, isn't it? Now you can watch it. You can watch it anywhere in the country.
Yeah, it's really fantastic.
It sure is. Remember, Hometown Cable is on every night. 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 1 in the morning, and 9 the following morning on every morning. And if you want to watch What's Going On Here with the show we call My Show, it's on every Sunday night, and we're trying to get things of interest. So if there's something that you want to see, something you think would be of interest to you and your family and everybody else, give Calvin a call or give me a call. Calvin's on the camera as usual. And when you see us on the street, let us know about it. We got several things planned. We got, I guess, 40 different ones planned for the future. And we're glad. We've been talking to Dick for the last hour. We've been talking to him over the past 3 weeks to a month to try to get in here. And we didn't pick the best day in the world, Dick, but
Well,
the company was friendly and courteous, and we appreciate that very much. I hope you were relaxed and you enjoyed
yeah.
it. Yeah? Okay. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for tuning in. We're about 500 feet out into Lake Champlain, standing on the edge of the breakwater at Gaines Marina. This is Dick Gaines on my right. We've been talking with him for the last hour, and we're standing in front of the Corab, the boat owned by Mr. How do you pronounce his name?
Mr. Kurdanak.
Kurdanak from Anakemia Chemical. If you want to find out about yachts, sailboats, and boats with motors, whatever you want to call them, tune in this coming Sunday night and find out all about it on what's going on here.